welcome to the first drawing tutorial. Kanye West. Kanye is an interesting figure, brilliant artist, very specific opinions, and his narrative is deeper than most people think, which is why he has such lasting power, because he's concerned with the truth and he wants to tell the truth, and people that are attracted to the truth tend to understand where he's coming from. So that's why he was the subject of this first drawing tutorial, and here we are in Procreate. Here's the end result, and we're gonna go to the gear icon, hit the time lapse. What's cool about the time lapse is it records everything you're doing while you're drawing on the app, and you can actually go back into it and speed it up or down, and that's what I'm gonna do here, to go in and talk about the decisions I made while I was drawing. So yeah, hit time lapse and you're in it, and it's already starting. So I'm gonna go back to 0 and I can slowly drag it forward with the finger. Here I'm just drawing some random shapes, probably for some other thing I was showing somebody else. And can actually, here we go, bring it back down so you can see the whole thing. So let's back it up a little bit. So now I'm just basically using the reference to sketch out the basic shape of the head. You can see the line in the middle is the eye line. You can kind of roughly see the neck shape and the ear shape, and quickly put in like a little indication of the beard. Moving forward, the eyebrow, all the dark areas, kind of mapping in the dark areas. The pencil is cool with Procreate. You can set it so that when you tilt it, it shades, and when you have it upright, it does these thin lines. So it's actually super tactile, and as close to a real graphite pencil as you can get. So yeah, moving forward, indicating the nose. I do a lot of diagonal lines because the diagonal lines are like super great for measurements. You know, connecting diagonal lines with straight lines helps you see the precise measurements and gives you kind of a guideline on how to connect the shapes, because drawing is really about shapes. I see larger shapes and smaller shapes in my mind and connect them visually. I could do another tutorial of doing more obvious shapes the way that I see them, but really drawing is about connecting shapes and seeing the lines where all these shapes connect. And actually shading is part 2. Shading is kind of advanced. I might do another tutorial of the same image, just doing straight like line drawings with shapes as a fundamental practice, but I went ahead and used, you know, this is the first tutorial, like A to Z drawing, because I wanted to. And that's how it goes. So here we are, kind of adding some shading, you know, shapes. Those lips are just basically 2 shapes, right? Kind of adding some more shadow, some more mood. The darks are a good way to start because it's a high contrast and kind of easy to see what you're doing and to see the shape, structure, layout as we go. I think I was playing around here with some of the fading aspects of the pencil. When I put the pencil to the iPad, it wasn't making a mark quickly enough. Like the fade setting was too light, so I switched that so I could start seeing marks as soon as I put the pencil down. Here we go. It looks like I put the reference in now. That's the reference. That's yeah, it's a reference. Pretty good picture off of all the press from Kanye's new album, which is pretty great. So I can kind of give the overall view here with the reference as I go. Bring it back in time to about there. So yeah, we're putting the shading in on the beard. And a lot of times, man, with the shading of some of these lines, like I don't think about it, because spontaneity and freestyling is almost more beautiful and important than using the mind to get precision, because the photograph has a precision. So what we're doing is like we're emoting, we're using the emotions to really capture how you feel about this person, and comes from a deeper place. So a lot of times it's good just to be loose and rough and put lines in all kinds of different places, and let people see that, and it's all right. It's free and it's honest, and there's beauty in it, and there's value in not thinking and just letting your pencil run around a loose, structure. As long as you have a basic structure and everything's basically in the right shape, and you have strong shapes containing that structure, well, then you're free to kind of like dance around, as I did in the chin there with the marks. And you don't have to be perfect, because it's expression. It's indication of like how you're feeling. Each stroke, the speed and the texture all connotes a certain emotion. So as you go along here, the beard's getting darker. I'm starting to put in some marks of the hood down below, and using the pencil like 4 or 5 or 6 times to really darken up that forehead, and starting to kind of put that shape of the eye socket in. The lips, going into detail with the lips there, using the brush tool. I think I had the brush tool not on the pencil, but on like a regular ink or a paintbrush, just so that it would be clean and there'd be no texture to it. It'd get like a really clean erase. And I'm putting in a sharp line there on the lip, kind of fleshing out the nose, getting some more darks in the eyes. As it is, I'm just darkening up all the darks as I see fit. Hitting up the lip with a little more contour, getting that nostril in. Right there, getting the shadow in with the lip, and the highlight. Knocking it's an eraser actually, knocking that eraser highlight into the lip there. That's kind of cool. You can get in detail there. So there you go. Bam, bam. Slow motion. Yeah, you can slow this down in the video and all that, obviously. So yeah, back to where we were. Try to get the whole view here. Back it up a little bit. So yeah, here we go. Run that slow motion back to where we were. Yeah, so I'm not thinking a lot. I'm just putting down marks here. So this is kind of cool. That little twirly with the beard, and the twirlies with the sweatshirt. It's just pure like feeling and gesture, It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's still pretty accurate. Messing with the eyebrow, getting the eyebrow a little more connected with the structure of his head. Starting to put in some hairlines at the top, starting to erase the contour a little bit, get the nose a little more accurate. And messing with the eye, there's the eraser, getting in there, like knocking out some of that highlight. And this isn't a perfect capture of the portrait, but the feeling is there. As long as the feeling is there and it's pretty close, I'm happy. So down the beard there, using the eraser with the super sharp edge to indicate those gray hairs, which I have some, so I can relate. I think they're awesome. Okay, so yeah, what I'm doing here is basically I'm gonna erase all this, but I want there to be like a dramatic contrast, especially where the eye socket is. You can see where there's dark, and then it hits right up against that light source. So what I do is I darken it to erase it, right? So I darkened it up, and look at that beautiful sharp eraser coming in, just like knocking all that out, giving a really dramatic contrast, which is what I want. Going in with the bottom of the beard a little bit, now hitting up that ear with the strong structure, going in deeper with that beard, getting the back of the head a little bit, moving in, really structuring that hairline, giving it some more definition, putting a little bit of indication in the ear. And at this point, I was like, you know what, man, I don't need any more detail. Like, this is pretty great. Like, I was happy with it. I was like, yeah, maybe I'll put in that chain and put in the neck strong. It's all about shapes. If you think of circles, triangles, and squares in terms of structure, really just try to see those super, super simple shapes as a structure. Try not to think about rendering too much. Just think about shapes, like strong shapes, and everything else kind of fills itself in, right? So there you go, bam, right there. Hit up some more of those sweatshirt shapes in a saucy way. That's the funnest thing, man. It's just loose and as fast as possible and not needing to be accurate. Like kind of seeing the shapes in your mind, but the speed is where the beauty is. The speed is the courage. And I really want to emphasize that. Is like the more you understand shape and get confident with the shape and structure, the more you have time to play around and speed around, knowing that it's going to look good and it's going to be accurate. But when you can really like not gloss over the accuracy, but nail that accuracy and fast, then you have time to play around and scoot around and all that beautiful stuff in the beard and the sweatshirt. I think that's where the magic really is, honestly, and that's where the fun is. So here we're throwing in his gold chain. I almost didn't want to do it, but I threw it in, and it was cool. Let me slide this down a little bit. You can see the whole thing. But as you're gonna see here, I kind of faded it out so that it wasn't like so prominent, because it's starting to distract. Kind of wanted to get like a little more of his shoulder in there, just so that there's some confidence and some presence, like to block it in, like bam, now it's blocked in. It's kind of fresh. So as we go here, cleaned up the head a little bit, obviously, so it's a little more accurate. Doing my signature, blase, bossy signature, looks cool, whatever. Then I started to put some like energy, aura shenanigans in, which I like to do, but feeling like they're a bit too like heavy and the chain was too heavy. So right there, I took the eraser and decreases transparency quite a bit and just knocked that all down to value, which I think is good because it gives more contrast to the beard and counter contrast to the signature. Even though the signature is in there, there's still a balance that's happening. It's not just like pasted on, like cut and paste. It's all part. Every single mark of the drawing is like a relevant part. Like, there's everything is a factor. Most people they include a signature and it's really obnoxious because they don't really consider how the signature connects with the whole piece in terms of balance. And it just looks like it's pasted on so that people can see it was them for some sort of commercial purpose, and I think it's garbage. Actually, I usually sign the back of artwork and completely take the signature out of it, unless I'm doing something like this where I just I feel like it because I'm bossy, So yeah, there you go. Slide it back a little bit, back to the quick overview. Bam, bam, shading the dark areas, kind of contouring, getting the shapes right. And you can also think about separating shapes in terms of value, right? So like the super darks, the hair and the beard, that's one shape. The mid-tones, around the face and the nose and the top of the forehead, that's another shape. So you can really create shapes in your head in terms of the light quality, how the light is hitting the subject. Like all the white you see right there on the forehead and the upper cheek, and where the hairline comes in, you can actually make kind of like a backwards S shape. If you outline it in your mind, it's like bam, that's a shape. It's kind of how I'm thinking. Like the forehead is just one shape, like the eye is a shape, the nose is a shape, the beard is one shape. So you can really simplify the entire subject into 5 or 6 basic shapes, connect the structure quickly, then have fun just playing around and filling out the darks and the midtones. And the background of this image is actually gray, so I could even go in there with white, with pure white, and just really pop those tones a little further if I wanted to. But this is what's called a low key. Like a high key, there would be no blacks. It would be white to light gray to medium gray, and a low key is medium gray to dark gray to black, and a full key would be the full spectrum of white to medium gray to black. So just like with pianos, there's tonal keys with drawing. So this is more of a mid key, like a mid low key, because there's 0 whites. There's not even a 1 or a 2 value. This is more of a 3 or a 4 in the background. So it's kind of recessed and a little more calm, which is good because it's just a drawing, But yeah, that's another tutorial down the line. Maybe more of a full key. drawing example. But really, if anything, I'm going to go back to pure shape and connecting shapes and showing you how I think about shape. So yeah, bang bang, here we go. Flesh it out a little bit. This is all pretty quick. I think I did this in 4 minutes, like 5 minutes the entire drawing. It's like I didn't really spend a lot of time. Just kind of reacted on it. So as we roll around. And that's it. Part 1 drawing, Kanye West.